we're getting there, guys.
Good morning, Sun Prairie. Time to rise and shine.
What?
Time to pour the coffee with Bill.
Who wants to be human?
Time to rise and shine with Bill.
He has all the ingredients for disaster.
Time to get going with Bill.
He's phenomenal.
Welcome to Baker Street with your host, Bill Baker.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to a bright and sunny Monday morning here in Sun Prairie. Hey, I'm Bill Baker, your host, and you're listening to the Sun Prairie Real Estate Show right here at the beautiful Sun Prairie Media Center studios, and glad to be with you. Excuse me. Oh, my gosh, clearing my throat there. I apologize. Hey, we're underwritten by those wonderful folks at the Bank of Sun Prairie and the Baker Realty Group. Glad to have them as sponsors. And, of course, at the Baker Realty Group, we always bring you home. So, real estate's a challenging market out there right now. I will tell you that. Woo! And we'll talk about that a little later. Patty Hall, good morning. Valerie Alt, good morning. Good to see you, ladies. My Michigan connections over there. Hey, this morning we're going to have a special guest in studio. Joe Chase, president of the Sun Prairie Historical Society, will be in studio, and we're going to talk about heritage. We're going to talk about German heritage. We're going to talk about, Joe's the former mayor of Sun Prairie. He was in there for 6 years, 3 terms. On his 4th one, he decided he wasn't going to do it again, which is understandable. Might wear on you a little bit. But we're going to talk maybe a little politics with him about that. Going to talk, I want to find out, here's a question I'm going to ask him, and I think you'll appreciate this very much. So should progress and growth wipe out our history, or should we preserve our history? Because I think if you don't learn from history, then you'll repeat it, right? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's going on down at the Crosse House with the Germans Coming to America exhibit, and especially with Sun Prairie, because his heritage, he's deep here in Sun Prairie. His lineage goes back a long way, so it's going to be fun to talk to him. It's always great to talk to my friend Joe Chase. Get some perspectives about Sun Prairie also. So that'll be fun. Hey, don't forget Sunshine Supper is tonight. That's right, I'll be there, so come by and see me, would you? And we're going to start it at 5 o'clock, 5 till 6 p.m. We do have people to get early. Thank you, Diane Donahue. She's always there in line, ready to go. And with all my regulars that are coming in. And it's always great to see them, I tell you. It really is. Farmers Market started this past weekend. I know that I couldn't be there. Well, I was set and scheduled to be broadcasting from Farmers Market, but softball and baseball took priority. So I know. On my Farmers Market people are going, what? We got the best farmers market in the world. So if you have not been to a Sun Prairie Farmers Market, then you need to do that. Get you down there, get you to be a part of it. What's going on Facebook this morning? There we go. We're still on. I'm cooking here. Do have a huge announcement. I am so proud. I'm probably the first one to be able to announce this, But I'm so excited about this. Hey, Saturday night, this past Saturday night, yours truly was at an event over in Middleton at the Marriott at the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Award Dinner. Now, what you need to know about this dinner, these awards, is this is for the entire state of Wisconsin, and this is all levels of radio and TV. And we are a cable syndicated show. For TV. We're not broadcasting, which Jeff Robbins reminded me 20 times the other night. But our radio show is here. And you know what? This little bitty station that's run by 4 employees did something pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. What happened? What occurred? Yeah, we were chosen as Station of the Year in the large market. That means we go against the big guys in Milwaukee, Madison, and for radio. And we got Station of the Year. That's one of the highest honors that you can get in radio. And you got to remember, we're a nonprofit. We're a nonprofit. And these others are making big bucks to be out there broadcasting things, music, just for you, when we're just stealing it from Spotify. No, borrowing it. No, on loan. Oh no, we have a membership. That's it. But seriously, Greg, I also want to say a huge congrats to Greg Bump, who won an Excellence Award, finished first place. Sarah Miluski, there you go. Sorry, Sarah. I love you. That's that name. I know. She came out as a Excellence Award, a winner also. And then Christine Bright and Mark Gonwa, Jameson Rabbit, Mike Powers, and myself. We all finished in the top 3. Now, and you got to think about this, folks, because like I said, we got a little bitty radio station here. We got 4 staff members. You have over 90 volunteers, 90 producers, directors that produce these shows, these radio broadcasts, these football games on our own. Now, football's a little bit different. And what we have to do is we definitely have to get in there and we have to say a huge thank you to people like Jeff Robbins and to Dan Corcoran. Dan Corcoran is the greatest producer I have ever seen in the world, and he's an amazing broadcaster. So it was a great night. Colin was there, Mar Trusty was there, Jeff Robbins was there. I've never seen Jeff prouder. Oh my gosh. And it just shows you that award in itself for a radio show just shows you the level of leadership that we have in Sun Prairie and this media station when you're named Radio Station of the Year for the entire state of Wisconsin by the Wisconsin Broadcasters. That ain't bad. Hey, Joe, switch over to one more chair over there in the corner. There you go. Joe Chase just entered the studio with his entourage. The man goes everywhere, I tell you. So it was pretty cool. We got a bunch of awards, bunch of shiny things, and they were kind of nice, and it worked out really well. But I'm very proud to be a part of this with everybody, and it's just amazing to win all the awards that we do. And for me, to be mentioned in the same names of Mike Powers, Jameson Rabbit, in our broadcast that we did for football last year. That'll probably be the last time you see the 3 of us together with the new stadium, the new high school being built. We'll have 2 teams this fall, and Steve Sabaki and Jameson will be doing the West, and then of course Mike Powers and I will bring you the broadcast for the Cardinals. But great night for Sun Prairie Media Center in Sun Prairie when your little radio station gets Station of the Year and is recognized by the round of applause. Yes, a little golf clap by the Wisconsin Broadcasters. That says a lot. That's just huge. And hopefully we'll get Jeff Robbins in here around 8:30 and let him chat a little bit about it. But let's do this. Let's get the show started, and then we'll come back and we'll chat with Joe Chase as he steps into the studio. Hey, you're listening to 103.5 WLSP, The Sun, right here in beautiful Sun Prairie. Get up, everybody. Get out of bed. Good morning.
Bill.
How are you, sir?
Good, thank you.
Awesome.
Excellent.
You are on Facebook Live right now.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. You're live still.
Hi, y'all. Where's the camera?
I tell you. Let me go over here. Do this. Push another button. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Did I put it up there?
There we go.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
Oh, there's the official camera. I wondered.
That's your official camera.
Oh, there you go.
How was your weekend?
Oh, busy because we started to set up the exhibit down at the Crosse House. And,
Did you?
yeah. And a crew of, 8, 9 people come in there and just kind of like bees and beetles just running around putting things up. And everybody's real anxious in the group that I've got going now. They are just, the Historical Society has just got some new image and new vision and new excitement.
Yeah.
And
Oh my gosh.
it's really going well.
Hey, I didn't know that you had 3 terms as mayor. 6 years?
Would you want to, just 2 years?
No, I thought it was 2 terms. I didn't know it was 3.
Well, first I had to run against the incumbent,
Yeah. Who's that?
Dave Hanneman.
Dave. Back then. Okay.
And I was a city employee at that time.
Okay.
So it was a little challenging to do that, and running against an incumbent. But Dave was a great guy. But again, I had a whole new vision, a whole different focus.
Yeah.
I wanted to be there. I wanted to be Mr. Promo of Sun Prairie, get some excitement going.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Save that. Don't talk about it yet. We'll get on the air and talk about it.
Silence. Did you see there was just a picture on Facebook for a Rick Erickson Society that had a picture of me when I ran for alderman in 1978.
Oh my gosh.
It turned out to be a 3-way tie in the primary.
What Alder district?
First.
Oh yeah, the fighting first. No, friendly first.
Friendly
As
first.
Stalker says.
Yeah.
And did you win?
No. No, I came in third.
Okay.
I was a lot younger then. Just married a couple of years. I said, man. And so I thought, yeah, we'll do it.
All right.
So Don Folk actually ended up winning the aldermanic race.
Wow, I don't even know who that is.
Don Folk became the mayor
Oh.
years later.
Oh my gosh.
And the other candidate was Phil DeCabooter.
Don't know that name either.
And so the 3 of us ran. I was a young guy with a stash. Look a little bit right out of the 60s. So it was fun.
That's cool.
So 28 years later, I tried it again. Went for the gusto.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll chat a little bit about it.
I want to make sure we get people excited about coming to.
Oh, we are. We're going to talk about that.
Boy, I tell you,
I got a lot of stuff in here. Even though
it's huge, huge. Oh yeah, you got it. You got
I
the
do.
dates and stuff there. That's great.
I do. That goes into the announcements.
I heard your first couple minutes.
Did you?
Because I stopped at the Crosse House before I came over here.
These are all old. Old,
huh?
Yeah.
That's almost like we call it historic in my group.
So we'll let a couple songs go, and then we can chat.
Okay. Got a lot to say, as
Do
you
you?
know. And I'll stay on subject.
No, you won't. I won't let you.
Because I should give you my list of 222 subjects I'll speak on.
Let's just double check. I'd put my glasses on, I could see better. Wow.
I go down to the Crosse House and there's a lady deadheading and cutting out all the old vegetation.
Uh-huh.
Before 7 o'clock in the morning,
Oh, yeah. Get the job done.
I don't get up until 9 o'clock.
What? I've been up
So
since 4:30.
You got my spirit, is what you got.
Drink some more water. You're not a coffee drinker.
Oh, I already had my black tea. My London fog.
Well, this is, I have all these fancy teas. I've got inside here, I've got ginger and turmeric. Then I got dandelion tea in here, and then I've got Lipton.
Oh, there you go.
So it'll clear my system out.
It's a concoction. Yeah.
I lost the taste of coffee after COVID.
You don't taste it?
Tastes terrible. It's like that first beer you have.
I never had the first beer taste awful.
I got some time.
Unless it was an IPA. IPAs are for breakfast. That little grapefruit taste,
I kind of like that. We have to talk housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just as your experience being as mayor and all that, and just we can just chat about it. It's pretty amazing right now. It's really amazing. But 22 houses for sale. Of that, there are only 22. There's 17 that are real. The others are houses that can be built. So the builders put it out there as a ghost listing, they call it.
Oh. Oh. Well, I got one 2 doors down from me that they had an open house 2 Sundays ago. I'm surprised it's still on the market.
Oh, I bet it's sold. Where is it? Dewey?
Broadway. Renstone.
It's sold. It's
Yeah,
sold.
I think there was a pending is what I saw.
Yeah, it's sold. Trust me. It's sold. Well, I can look real quick.
You know, that's a 1960s ranch.
That's okay. We like 1960s ranches.
But big yards. Boy, it's just amazing.
Sold. Oh, $12.94, Sun Prairie?
It would be 800 block.
Oh.
Or 900. 8 or 900 block. 800, I think.
All right, here we go. You know, that song is funny for me because I do like Mondays, but I like the song a lot, so I have to play that once in a while. And it's all right. Don't get excited on me there. Don't get excited. We'll get that music later. Welcome back. Hey, you're listening to Good Morning Sun Prairie, and I'm Bill Baker, your host. Glad to be here with you. And as we normally do, we always have some fantastic guests in studio. And the gentleman that's in here right now is one of my favorite people in town. I got to tell you that because he and we chat a lot. He gave me great advice when I ran for city council. We'll work on that advice for next time.
Mm-hmm. You bet, Bill.
But he's just a wonderful gentleman, and when you see him, I will tell you that if you're like me, you think of Sun Prairie, or Mr. Sun Prairie, and that's Joe Chase. And Joe's here because of an event that's happening down at the Crosse House. But let me tell you about this guy for a second here. Right now he's president of the Sun Prairie Historical Society. This is where I get to brag on him a little bit. He is our former mayor, and what I didn't realize was that he actually ran for 3 terms, and then when it came to the 4th one, he's like, no, I'm done. And that was from 2005 to 11. Yep. And he's also, now did I get this right? Because I found this somewhere. It was on the internet, so it's got to be true, Joe.
Yep.
You're one of the charter members for the Sun Prairie Historical Museum?
I am. Yeah.
That is amazing.
I was the youngest president of the organization back in the early 70s because most of my folks in those days were in their 60s.
Oh.
And I worked with them into their 80s.
Okay.
Because once you're a historical society member and dedicated to the history of our community, you stick with it till your dying days, truly.
Yeah.
Because people are very dedicated to that.
I agree with that. Hey, here's something else that I found in one of your bios somewhere. I was just looking you up, dude. I was Wikipediaing you on. You're the 6th person in your family to either be a village president or mayor of Sun Prairie?
That is correct. Yes. Yep.
Wow. So tell me about it. How long that goes back?
Oh yeah. It goes back. The most recent Chase was Ted Chase, who was our mayor and involved with the days when the Colonial Club was coming to fruition. So that's 50 years ago.
Oh wow. Ted.
So
Ted is your. What relations is Ted?
Ted would have been my dad's first cousin.
Okay.
Yeah. And Ted had 10 kids then, and their kids, well, one of them being Nancy McMahon. Nancy was the advocate for the Crosse House because the Chase family also married into the Crosse family.
Okay.
And so the Crosse House and the family, and then Ben Chase lived across the street from it, and next to the Crosse House was the original Chase lumber yard.
Oh, you're kidding me. Now, who was Ben Chase?
Ben would have been my great uncle, and Ben was very, very active in the school and being involved with higher education in the community.
Okay.
But he also then, with one of his brothers, ran the lumberyard.
Oh my gosh.
So their house became the YMCA before it moved out to the west side. So lots of activity within the community.
So when did your family come to Sun Prairie?
Well, here we go.
Well, that's what I want to get to.
Moses and Sarah Chase.
Moses, I love these names.
Came to the town of Bristol in 1951.
Okay.
1851.
There you go.
1851.
From where?
From Craftsbury, Vermont.
Okay.
And so they were New Englanders, and the Chase family. I'm the 13th generation in the States.
Okay.
Because they came into Massachusetts in the 1618 area. When the colonies were just starting in Massachusetts.
Wow, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Massachusetts. Go down the street here, down to the old Jones barn, and turn right, and you'll find our house. Yeah, don't you know?
So it's exciting. So my family's been here since like I say, 1851, and then when Moses' son J.W. moved to town, he built the house that Ted Chase and 3 more generations of the family grew up in on the corner of North Street and Windsor.
Oh my gosh!
So young Ted Chase lives there now with his wife, and raised his kids all there. So Ted was very influential in having been a businessman, because back in the days of our early government here, you all were businessmen.
Sure.
Because you had a share in the community.
Right.
And it was important for you to help the community grow.
I think that's missing right now.
Well, it is. It's missing the having skin in the game.
Right.
And right now, we get a lot of opinions from people that have been here for less than 10 years.
Sure.
And that, they don't appreciate the history that came along to get them where they were today.
That's a great little segue into something I want to ask you about, because here was a question that I had that, because, the Schneider farm, I mean, you were a big advocate of saving that Civil War era farmhouse.
Right.
So do you think, and I went to school out in Virginia, so, you've got Washington, D.C., you've got Northern Virginia, you've got Civil War areas all over the place in that. And, they were talking about building amusement parks and how they incorporated things with Civil War, which is, I think, one of the things that we can't ever forget about. But the question I had for you was, should our growth and our progress take over our history? Should it destroy our history, like we just did with the Schneider House? I mean, we decided that, as the community decided, our council decided, or our government decided, that a Myers at the time, or now Hy-Vee, was more important than that house, or a history.
Well, again, who's placing the importance on development? And the number one person that places importance on development is the developer.
Sure.
So, I mean, and that's their business. That's what they're into. And
right.
They're the ones that are taking the risk, supposedly. And so it's one of those things where many smaller towns or big, or even as towns are growing and developing, they try to integrate. Mm-hmm. They try to find a use for a I had seen a nice little place up in Michigan where they had taken a house like that and built a mini golf course around it.
Oh,
And the Rotary Club ran it.
oh, you're kidding.
And it was all taken care of there. And it was right there on the highway for exposure. It was great activity for any member in the family. And again, why aren't we thinking about that? I also said, you know, if you're going to be developing things, why don't you develop things that help the community? Why don't you have a center for people in need, like St. Coletta's
No.
in Jefferson? We don't have to send people from Madison all the way to Jefferson.
No.
Or from Milwaukee to Jefferson.
Right.
I mean, we have people that are in need in conditions like that. Lamb's Farm comes to mind in Libertyville, Illinois.
Okay.
And they developed that entire farm with residents and activities areas and a small, like almost like a petting farm.
Sure.
For agricultural animals, lambs, and small calves and goats and what have you. But again, such a great exposure. The last thing we think we needed here was another grocery store. And again, and particularly our biggest issue now in town is looking for employment and getting people that will fill the employment needs.
That's because the majority of people that live in Sun Prairie travel outside of the city for work. Only about 2,900 people actually live and work in this city.
That's right, but they're not going to retail jobs in Madison.
No, sir. No, they're not.
And that's what we're offering the community now.
Right.
Is retail jobs, and you're starting to see that the retailers are starting to be very innovative on getting to the point where the only thing not stocking shelves is robots.
Right.
They got you know, the cash registers you run yourself, just like at the gas stations.
Right.
You fill your own tank, and again, understandably, but it really becomes one of those things that a community has to be well balanced in its growth, and it has to appreciate its history. What I always have a little bit issue with was the city actually owned the land where the Snyder House was on.
Right.
And they have a comprehensive plan that says that they are going to protect historic properties in the townships as they annex them.
Yeah.
And they're the first ones to make sure that that building didn't qualify.
And that's a shame. And that's a shame. But here's the thing about our history in that and it's hit home with me because of losing a parent last year. I lost my mom last year. And we talked about, my sister and I, all of a sudden we're looking at things and in the house and my dad and all the things that are there. And I'm looking around the room and here are pieces of furniture that are great-grandparent and they are solid. My sister has no interest in that. For me, I'm more of, and people call me a pack rat on this stuff too, but I think it's a part of our history. I mean, the ring I wear is my great-grandfather's, given to my grandfather, and given to me. And it'll go to my son.
Yeah, excellent.
I have his pocket watches. I have the family Bibles at home.
They call it heirlooms.
Yes, okay, heirlooms. For me,
Don't say that to a millennial because they have no clue.
they have no clue. Nor are they interested.
No, they aren't.
And they're wiping out their own history.
Right.
We have, there's something that I'm going to do. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think, and you just hit on it right away, is that in this time frame of our life, we're forgetting to look back at our history and to learn from it and to respect it, starting with our genealogy and who we are. Where did we come from? Who are we as a family, or where that starts? When I lived out east in Philadelphia, I married Linda Ciccone. We lived in Levittown, Pennsylvania, then Langhorne and all this, but her family was from South Philly. They were 100% Italian, and I got to know that. And everybody lived close. I mean, that's the way the
neighborhood.
You lived basically in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And every Sunday we all got together at her mom's. You know, that was the tradition. That tradition doesn't happen as often today, and we're losing the sight of the history. Sitting with Alex's, I've been married a couple of times, Joe, by the way. Just, just sharing with you there.
It happens.
I'm good at getting married, I'm not good at staying married. But.
All right. Well, again.
But here's another history thing for me, and I want to go back to New York and visit the Holocaust Museum. But I'm sitting with Annette McCula. Annette Baker is my ex-wife. We're sitting with at a family picnic when I first met her in North Jersey in Paramus with her great uncles and her mom and dad and everything. And here's Uncle Willie, and I'm sitting next to Uncle Willie. He's got to be in his late 80s, and it's a hot summer day, and it's a picnic style out by their pool that they had in Paramus, which was a big thing. And I noticed the tattoo. What I noticed was, why do you have numbers on your arm?
Oh my!
I know.
Yes.
The chills when I realized what I was sitting next to was just overwhelming. And then to find out that the uncle sitting across from the table had also been in just the same situation. I get emotional just talking about it. Just to be sitting there with people that had so much history, so much influence that they could be sharing with me about their times in one of the worst situations of our life.
And it's amazing because what your insight is seeing is what happened in urban United States, what happened in the core communities in bigger cities.
Right.
Whereas Wisconsin started out as agricultural, and their agricultural roots are what brought family together.
Right.
And as we become less and less, attached to the soil, those family connections are starting to kind of just go away, to the point where families don't get together because the kids go to high school and they're gone all over the place because there's nothing here that excites them to stay here. And I've seen a number of towns out in Kansas and Nebraska where they start the kids in 3rd to 4th grade figuring out what they were going to do in the community when they graduated from high school. They're bringing them into the family business, or they're introducing them to some of the factory work or employment opportunities within the community at an early age. So they become so attached to the community, that's where they want to be.
Well, my son, I've got one in Philadelphia, I've got one out in Seattle. I mean, I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like, come visit me, come visit Dad.
Yeah.
But Alex left here, and he went to the Navy, and he started his life. But you're right, he doesn't see the attachment of Sun Prairie or Wisconsin for what he wants to achieve with his wife, Jessica. And but I do my best to maintain the genealogy and historical value of the family.
Okay.
And Omer Onan is my great-great-grandfather who I met. I have pictures with Omi, and we called him Omi. My great-grandmother, my great-grandmother took care of me, babysat me while my mom worked.
Wow.
And so a lot of Irish side of it, a lot of Scot-Irish, a little bit of German that's mixed in there. And that's why we're here today, because Dolly Wagner grabbed me after church and said, "Hey, can I talk to you about something?" Love that lady. Used to be my neighbor, by the way.
A lot of energy. I've known Paul and Dolly for a long time.
Oh my gosh! It was. They're great people. They were great. Their daughters were babysitting Alex.
Oh my!
And then later, I sold them houses.
Wow.
I helped them buy houses.
There you go.
So what she did, she stopped me and she says, "Hey, we got this great activity or event that's coming up at the Crosse House, and it's Germans Coming to America."
Right.
And with a name like Chase, I don't know if that's German though.
But I gotta tell you, when I look back at my 8 great-grandparents, 4 of them are Yankees,
Yeah.
2 of them are Irish, and 2 of them are German.
Ah.
My German side comes from East Bristol, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Yeah, and they basically came over directly from Germany to East Bristol. East Bristol became a community of German settlement.
Why?
Yeah. Well, they somehow came in through. They were actually called the Columbus Settlement. So they came through Columbus and came down into that area, but the Germans settled in this part of Wisconsin, particularly for farmland.
Sure.
The Germans, in particular, in the wave that came over when they came over in the 1850s also. They came over here, and the Germans had a different perspective than the Yankees who had come from out east here.
Okay.
The Yankee farmers, which the Chase side of my family was from, they came and they looked for flat prairie land and started plowing.
Okay.
The Germans came over and they said, we need a little bit of woods, we need a little bit of prairie, we need some water. And the woods was all about so we can build our houses. We want to build our houses, so they always made sure that there was lumber available and they could build houses. So East Bristol is great farmland. That's an extension of the Arlington Prairie, as they call it up in that area. And of course, north of Sun Prairie, town of Bristol was 99% farming in its beginnings, just as was this town of Sun Prairie and the town of Cottage Grove. All of those, it's great farming land here, and people saw that.
So how many generations can you remember?
I can only go back to my grandfather.
Your grandfather?
Yeah.
So the loss of my mom, and well, she's only temporary loss. I mean, I will see that woman again because she's watching over me right now as we're talking about all this stuff. The loss with mom is the cousins, uncles, aunts on the brother, sister side of whoever. Well, that's your second or third cousin, she would say.
Sure.
And so I miss that part of the family. But man, I bust a gut trying to remember people, and I'm finding photos, black and white photos, and I think this is your grandmother, and you got to hang on to those things like that.
Right.
But this exhibit that's coming up is we'll let you talk about it. Let you describe it, because you're pretty good at that.
Well, I'm pretty good at talking. So here it is. This all came about is because we, the Sun Prairie Historical Society, urged the Sun Prairie Area Genealogy Society to join us and to become part of us.
I love that.
And they were almost 40 strong, and they were having meetings every third Saturday, and they'd come together at the library and have talks about roadblocks in their genealogy research and advances. And even recently they've been getting excited about the 1950 census coming out and all that information that they could get information for. But a number of them have got deep roots in the community, and they wanted to learn more about what's right here. And they found that the Sun Prairie Historical Museum has a huge stash of artifacts from the early families that over 50 years ago started to donate things to the museum.
Oh, fantastic.
And so that's an exciting part that they want to get involved with. We're having real challenges because they don't have the staffing at the museum to be able to allow us even to go in there and use it.
And Jen is now leaving.
Yeah,
as the director.
Harper will be there through the end of May, and then
right.
And the city is trying to determine how they're going to go forward and how they're going to prioritize the museum access. So, but at any rate, so we've got these genealogists that joined the Historical Society. And then on top of that, we said we need a home. And our home was going to be the Crosse House, which is run by the Sun Prairie Historical Restorations Group. And we felt, when I put the Historical Society together 2 years ago, I said, I want this to be an umbrella organization. Let's take all the historic interest groups in the community and put them under this group.
Okay.
And use the synergy to make us all look better. So we ended up with the genealogy group. We ended up with the historical restorations group. We've talked to the Sun Prairie City Cemetery group. We've talked to the Angel Park Museum group. All about let's make this coalition work.
Sure.
to make things exciting about the history of community. And in the history of community, as you know, it doesn't stop. We can go back to Charlie Bird in 1837. But we can go back to the whole chunk prior to that, and today we can look at the immigration, or the integration of what's coming into our community now, as far as the rich ethnicities that are coming here.
Well, what has happened is it's made all that effort has made Sun Prairie, I think, the greatest city in the state of Wisconsin. And we know it's one of the
Again,
fastest growing
Yeah.
outside of Madison.
Yeah, and really, we really have got to be able to make that continuum work, but we also then have to have ways to network.
Right.
And part of that networking is we all have a history. And we should be proud of that history to the point where we want to share what we have.
And we need to preserve it.
Well,
and our city needs to make that commitment.
Well, again,
Public and private.
we got to be careful about what happens, because when I was the president of the Historical Society back in the 70s, it was totally run as a nonprofit. And so it was all volunteers.
Okay.
And all volunteers, like I said, they were dedicated. What can we do? How can we do more? How can we, can I give you more stuff to donate? And
Sure.
on and on and on. And financially, how can we support you? One of the big efforts of the Historical Society was saving the old water tower on Columbus Street Center.
That's right. I remember this.
Yeah, and again, that was an initiative started by inside the Historical Society to say, look, the city wants to tear it down. It's a great image of our historic community. Why can't we save it? So the Historical Society went ahead and did that. So we're trying to reinvent it or modernize it to a point where we can start getting more people that are interested, that are going to give some long-term commitments to it while they're able to do that. Because a lot of the folks have aged out. And I always tell the story about I'm looking for my replacement, because if there isn't anybody behind me,
Right.
I'm really concerned.
That's
I
true.
really am. So our Historical Society has grown, and it's integrating with other historic factors in the community. And now we want to use that Crosse House as the focus place to be able to start to show what our history is all about in this community.
So tell them what's going on. Tell them what you're doing at the Crosse House starting on the 10th.
Right. So what we were able to do, or the genealogy group actually had contacted a place at the University of Wisconsin called it's called the Max Cade Institution. And the Max Cade Institution started out in New York, and they have 30 affiliates around the United States. And one of them is at the University of Wisconsin. And it's called the Max Cade Institute for German American Studies at the University of Wisconsin.
Okay.
And what they do, their whole focus is on putting together events, library and a resource center, putting exhibits together and presentations, education, genealogy, and research. But what they did is one of their projects is made 14 panels that are pull-up panels that are 30 inches wide and 7 feet tall that we've integrated into the Crosse House. So you can take the story of the Germans coming to America and go through that at the Crosse House in these 14 panels.
Interesting.
Yeah, and of course they tried to integrate it and bring it into the Wisconsin experience. So all of the panels have some story about how these German families came to be in Wisconsin. Now, what we felt as a group, we had to go farther than that. We had to say what happened, what were the Germans in this area? So East Bristol, like I said, was a huge area, but that made the whole town of Bristol somewhat, a lot of German immigration into that area. And so we brought in, as Dolly may have told you, she brought in the Weber family and the Wagner family, and all these are German families that really embraced East Bristol, built one of the most beautiful churches in Dane County, or in maybe Wisconsin. And this was the Catholic group of Germans that came in. And we had different waves of Germans that came into our community. We had the German Lutherans came in later. Then where do you think the German Jewish population came from? We didn't get Jewish people coming here from Israel.
No.
These Jewish people were members that had lived in Germany and migrated to the United States. So great ethnicities mix as you come in, even with the religions that go behind those.
And Madison is the only location for a synagogue. We don't have one in Sun Prairie, I don't believe.
No, we don't. And so, and they've had at least 2 synagogues in Madison over the years. So you can see that population of folks did come to this area of Wisconsin, and in particular the Germans actually were basically the second white settlers to come in. The Yankees were the ones that came in to start with from New England, because They had big families. The kids wanted a piece of land. Well, go west, young man, because that's the only way you're going to get it. And so then as they were opening up the frontier and opening up Wisconsin,
Sure.
the German population, guess what? Same thing in Germany. It was an economic reason because Germany did not exist until 1871.
Okay.
1871. Now you look back at the census, as you got an 1850 census, 1860 census, 1870 census, 1880, 1890, and nobody was putting Germany on as their place of origin.
Really?
Because there was no Germany.
What was it?
Basically, the largest part of the country up there was Prussia.
I was saying
The
Czech
kingdom,
Republic.
the Kingdom of Prussia was the hugest part of what is known as Germany right now today. But you had Bavaria, you had Westphalia, you had the Hessen area, you had the Pomeranian area, and these
Oh
were
my
either
gosh.
little principalities or kingdoms, and all these people were working as serfs, for the king. So, hey, let's go to America. Let's get some land. Let's build our own farms, and that's where the German immigration, for the most part, came into.
So did they come through New York? As they immigrated,
Yeah.
they came through New York and that area.
Sure,
Not
and
down
then
south,
they would
but
get to then they got to the Great Lakes.
how in the
And
world
got
did they
into it.
decide about Wisconsin? I mean, can you imagine a German family? You didn't have the internet back then. How do you? So you get to New York. First of all, they're trying to figure out what your name says.
Oh yeah, they always change your name
Right.
When you're coming in.
Exactly, and you
Yeah.
can't speak English, or you might be able to speak English, and you settle in this huge city for a while, and hopefully other Germans, your other family members have already come over. They're here, and now you've decided I'm going west to Wisconsin. Wisconsin wasn't around yet. Well,
Right.
1863? No,
Well, 1837, and it
1837.
became a state in 1848.
that's
Yeah.
it. 48.
Yeah, so it was the new frontier.
Well, sure, but
Yeah.
it's way up here on the map. I mean, I can
It
see
was
them
the,
selling
it was the kind of land they were looking for. Vermont, New Hampshire, you don't go there. It's nothing but rocks and hills and mountains, and
And ski
the
slopes.
Yankees already own it.
And-
So you keep going east. So upstate New York became
west.
a place. Yeah, because but the Englanders had already started moving into upstate New York.
Okay.
So you did have to go across the pond. You had to get across the lakes, the Great Lakes area. And Milwaukee became the most welcoming place for ethnicity and the biggest melting pot in the early Midwest.
Because it was a port.
Well, it is off the
It's a
lake,
port, yeah.
and you could come down to St. Lawrence,
Yeah.
get into it, and right, or you could. I don't know when the Erie Canal came in, but that was one of the ways to move from east to west.
Sure.
To get to the Great Lakes. So
Well, there was Irishmen that were building that the Erie Canal, so it's got to be in the 1800s.
yeah, it would have been 1880s or beyond that,
Right.
because the Irish came later than the Germans.
Right.
And so the German families, again, they heard there was great land, they saw it was great land when they got here, and they settled in, and they settled in strong. But they originally came into Ozaukee County, which is north of Milwaukee.
Mhm.
That was where the first German settlement was in
Oh.
in Wisconsin, and it was, and it's not there anymore. Well, it is. It stayed as a township, and so it didn't have to do evolution. So they really didn't. They really could stay in their little format of where they were. So I think it was Freestadt up in Ozaukee. Yeah, Freestadt.
Isn't that amazing?
And they still look like the original town that you came into. No fast food.
No fast food.
But again, and then they kept moving west because the opportunities were there in Wisconsin to do that.
Susan Marie says on Facebook, she says, this is a very interesting show today. How does one join or volunteer for the Historical Society?
Well, that's great. We have just launched a website, but it doesn't have enough activity for people to find it just by doing a Google search. So if someone wants to get in touch with me in particular, info, I-N-F-O, at sunprairiehistory.org. You send me an email and I'll connect you with anybody. Tell me what your interests are, or we'll start a conversation with an email and we'll get you down there. As you know, the dates that we're going to be down here at the Crosse House, you can drop in any time. We are going to have genealogists and we are going to have historians on site all of the hours that we're going to be open down there. And I think it's...
I got it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it for you. So it's going to start on May 10th through the 28th, but let me tell you about this. Exhibit viewing times are going to be Monday, March 16th through the 23rd by appointment only, but Tuesday, May 10th, 17th, and 24th, 1 to 5. Wednesday, May 11th through the 11th, 18th, and 5th, 4 to 7 p.m. Thursday, May 12th, 19th, and 26th, 1 to 5. And then Saturday, May 14th, 21st, and 28th, 10 to 5. You can go to, if you want more information, you can also email Sun Prairie.
Yeah, just use mine.
Yeah, just use Joe's. That's
info
at sunprairiehistory.org.
Right.
That'll.
And we will get you connected and get you involved. And like I said, there's a lot of excitement, and especially, like I said, we will have historians and genealogists. We've got genealogists that want to share what they've done, and they want to help you get started. And they're there to do that.
And I want to let you know, so what's going on at this exhibit is you're going to learn about the history and journey of German immigrants coming to Wisconsin in the early days. That's before that. That's before the 60s.
1865 is when we're really starting.
Special exhibit items by local Sun Prairie area residents. Opportunities to explore your heritage will also be available. Children's activities are going to be there and displays, and you'll also have an opportunity for photo ops. So bring your phone. It's going to be a lot of fun. Our history, I think, is just so important, and we gotta hang on to this stuff, man. We really gotta hang on to it.
Now I got to tell you that I put up a couple of exhibits myself because I have a different focus when I talk about Germans in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So I took on 3 subject matters:
What's that?
playing cards, beer, and polka.
Okay.
The state.
They all go together.
The state dance of Wisconsin.
I'm telling
the polka.
Yeah.
And beer.
Can you polka?
I have been polka my whole life. You bet I can polka. And I've taken some of the best senior ladies to dancing just to keep them excited about polka, because we used to have some great fun down at the Colonial Club when they would have some outdoor music and dancing. It was really fun stuff to get these folks excited.
Well, we need to have more of that.
Exactly. And like I said, I thought I'd come up with the fun stuff. We all know what the playing cards is all about.
Uh-huh.
There's a talk about euchre actually was a German origin.
Oh, euchre! I can't play that.
But
game.
we play. Oh, that's the easy one. We play sheephead and Scott. Those are the ones that are upper story and then upperclassmen type card playing. And it's again a way the German people really love to gather. They love to bring people together, whether it be in festivals or whether it be at the Turners, I understand, in Madison, the Turner Halls were all designed as a gymnasium to bring people together
to dance
for health, for health reasons. And dancing certainly was one of the healthiest reasons to do it.
Well, I definitely need to dance some more, I think.
Polka would take some of that off, Bill. It really would.
Hey, I was telling Dolly Wagner at church that a Southern thing that happens, and I've got some of my Southern friends I think are watching right now, or listening, is when you have a wedding or a funeral, families will bring their Bibles.
Wow.
And what they do is you update your Bible for deaths and births
certainly.
or weddings. And that's why I've got, like I said, I have 5 family Bibles at home. One of them is in a Ziploc bag because it's crumbling. But it's got all the handwriting of my great-grandfather in there. And, we're talking about genealogy. I did that one time. I started it one time. I went down that rabbit hole one time. I started on my mom's side of the family, which was Saunders and Starks. That's a nice little combination.
There you go.
But if the kids today, I'm going to say this, kids that are born today cannot go back and look at any of the charts, any of the census, and they won't be able to read it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's in cursive.
Right. not a problem.
But I tell you, I went down that rabbit hole. I spent the money for Ancestry.com, the big package, so I could.
Sure.
I can't remember what I paid for it, but it's expensive.
Well, yeah, I just do the domestic, and it's $99 a year or something.
And here's the thing: you can go to the library and do it for free.
Yeah.
They have the. So if you're interested in your genealogy, your ancestry, you can do this for free, and you can get some help at the Crosse House.
Oh, excellent! Yeah.
But
As
it's
a matter of
fun.
fact, I brought in a chart
You did?
from one of my.
They're going to see it on radio?
Well, no. At the Crosse House, you will find a German chart,
Okay.
genealogy,
All right.
tree,
Okay.
from the 1300s down to 1860 when they came to the United States, and married one of my great great aunts, and it's the von Ruden family, but it's totally scripted and totally designed to be a huge family tree. It's like a 4x8 sheet, and every little box has a where this von Ruden went and where this von Ruden went, and it goes again. This is all done in Prussia.
Oh, wow.
And prior to Germany. These are all the kingdoms.
Sure.
Prior to them coming over to the United States. So again, that can show you how elaborate genealogy can become. But Ancestry has become the #1 way to do research in your family. Again, with caution.
Sure.
Because everybody contributes, but and not everybody does the research. But yeah, nowadays researching family is easy. I have a database from Sun Prairie on the Chase family that has 150,000 names on it.
What? What do you mean 150,000 names?
Well, I went back because my family.
How
goes
far back?
Well, it goes back to the 1600s when they came to Massachusetts, and then as they traveled over to Wisconsin, and Moses Chase that I told you about, he had 10 kids, and he took 3 of them with him to Spokane and started a marble business out there, and a marble quarry. So he left 6 of them here and took the other 3 with him out there.
That's.
But that was the Yankee way. The Yankees kept moving. They would settle a community and
Yankees.
Then they kept right on going.
I like how you call them the Yankees.
Well, we can call them New Englanders if you like, but
Northerners, eh?
eh,
Norders.
but yeah, so family history, we can make it exciting. If you don't think it's exciting, we'll find things you maybe don't want to know.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What did you find that you didn't? That you're like, oh my gosh.
Well, depends on if you go into the DNA section.
Oh, there's a DNA section.
Well, no. If you send in your DNA, you might find cousins you didn't know.
Oh, I did that. I spit in a tube. I did it. I did that.
Well, all of a sudden, I don't recognize that name.
Oh, they send me these notices all the time. This could be your cousin.
Yeah. Well,
How do I know?
well, my uncle was a traveling salesman. I don't know. It is interesting, but you got to be prepared for that. And it's just, again, it just makes your family, maybe it makes them a little sad, but it also it's a different angle, a different interest.
Right.
And it really tells you that's how people lived.
Sure.
It really is, it opens up your mind to, we aren't just this straight-laced family that, everyone went down the line.
And it is a puzzle to do this. It's a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Because all of a sudden people disappear. On the census, you're like, where'd they go?
Right. Yeah.
I'm telling you, because you will stay up late at night with a good IPA. No, I'll say a glass of wine. All right, brandy. You just need brandy.
Brandy, yeah.
Straight up. I don't know.
Kirkwasser. A good old German Kirkwasser. Or a Maybach because it's in season.
Oh, there you go. Look at you.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Well, I'm
gosh.
trying to work on a little beer tasting down at the Crosse House, but
That would be cool.
I got to work through government. I got to work
yeah,
through.
that's-
Working on it.
Mike Jacobs, if you're listening, I got your phone call, but we're on the radio right now, so I can't respond to you. So I apologize for not taking your call. He's running for Gary Hebel's seat.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he was just appointed to the museum board.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right.
He's the liaison from the city council to the museum board.
Oh, and he's a history professor.
Yes,
correct?
he is.
At
Platteville now,
Platteville,
yeah.
yeah. And the man knows Civil War. I'll tell you that. he gave me an education in Civil War, and I'm an avid reader, and I love it. I don't think we spend enough time talking about Camp Randall and this area of what happened during the Civil War.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Most people have no idea what it is. They think it was a Union camp. And I'm like, no. It was a prison camp.
Well, it was all training. It was all about training.
Well, but
and I don't know if you even knew this, but Totten Creek was a training ground for Civil War soldiers.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They would bring them out there and train them out in the area of Totten Creek. Yeah.
I had no idea.
So again, it was integrated because the military road went right by Totten Creek.
Sure.
So the military road connected the forts.
Yeah.
And again, Camp Randall would have been one of the earlier fortress areas, if you will.
You know, a few years ago, it was decided that we would not have any Civil War reenactments in this city.
You know that.
Well, of course it is.
That was a fact, yes. We were going to book Angel Park Uplands there for like a 3-day event, encampment, if you will. But something kind of fell through there.
1823 was Erie Canal.
Okay.
Jacobs just said that.
Wow.
I know, right?
There's a guy.
Well, I think that, and I understand the sensitivity that can be created from a reenactment. Here's the thing is, I mean, we need to share our history. There's a lot of stuff going on during the Civil War. Yes, slavery was the issue that never should have happened. But there's other things that happened during the Civil War. Brother fighting against brother.
Yes.
But then the healing process that occurred, bringing the nation back together. But I still think we need to, if we lose that, we lose touch with what our history was. And man, we need to stick tight on our history. I think it's so important.
You see, it didn't affect us near as much as it did the New England states. And that's part of the reason. So as we came farther Midwest, we were a little bit more about, okay, we're open-minded to what's going on,
right?
And we'll send our boys to the Civil War. Yeah, we'll do that as Union soldiers. But it wasn't as deeply rooted as it was in the 13 originals. It was very deeply rooted in New York and Vermont, and New Hampshire, and in those states that they were gonna battle. And they were going to hold the line at the Mason-Dixie line. So, and you know, right? Civil War taught us a lot of things, and they're still writing about it.
Yeah.
There's still new information and new thoughts on how things happen. But yes, what a great education. And I don't think we even teach that in schools.
Well, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
Kentucky, where I lived. A neutral state from what I was always taught, and family and all this stuff. But I know I have family on both sides.
Sure.
I have the history of both sides of this. Oh my gosh, I'll go back and I'll say this. And my sister will shoot me, but she can't because she took the picture to school when she was a kid. We actually had family that were in the Ku Klux Klan.
Wow.
And that's probably not the thing to share with people like that, but there's a lot of history with that organization. Most of it's known as not being good. There's parts that fed people in eastern Kentucky and the poor and all that. But going to the Civil War, that was interesting. What I'm surprised at is we don't talk about the internments, the Japanese internments. Do you remember reading that in high school?
There were Japanese internments.
Did you read about it in high school?
But you also remember there were German encampments.
Oh, there were?
Yes.
Oh, right.
They would take German prisoners of war, and they were working at the Oconomowoc Canning Company right here in Sun Prairie. So it happened when they wanted to round up suspicious
German
families in World War II. They would bring them down there, and they would have them work at the cannery.
So it wasn't an internment camp where they were taking everything away.
They were basically, again, prisoners of war that ended up being here in the United States, and they put them to work at and you can appreciate if you've got an entire township surrounding you that have German families in there.
Sure.
And these Germans were actually also going to war in
right.
World War II and World War I. The Germans were involved in the Civil War too.
Yeah.
From Wisconsin.
Sure they
so
were.
All of the wars the German immigrants have been involved with, but they didn't want to. They were pacifists for the most part. They really weren't the kind of thing. What's this war all about? They really didn't want to have to send. But my family, the Myers out of East Bristol.
Okay.
6 boys out of that family went to the Civil War. 6, and one was 15 years old.
Oh my gosh.
He was 15 years old. I tell the story. He went in and he got injured. Got injured in his leg when he was 15 years old. But he went in under an assumed name.
Okay.
He went in as Henry Hartman instead of Josh Meyer.
Oh.
When he went out to get his pension, they said, "There's no Josh Meyer here." Oh, Henry Hartman. Oh yeah, that's who you were. Okay. He got his pension, and his family name changed forever because the only way he could get his pension was to give the name that he wanted. He went on. His leg was amputated, and he became known as Peg Leg Meyer. But he was really a great history. But like I said, you got 6 kids going into the Civil War.
Sure.
And none of them really came back to East Bristol. They all were, when they disseminated from the Civil War wherever they were. Some went toward Milwaukee, but most of them didn't come back to the farming community of East Bristol.
So my family, my mom's side of the family, they came through Ellis Island, and they really came through Virginia. They hung out in Virginia, and then they migrated to Kentucky. And that's how they got there. And then a few of them went to Indiana. Some of them came back. Well, once you go to Indiana, you're there for a while. You always want to come back. I mean, I don't know why people live there, but, just saying that. But I've been here. For me, this is 30 years. Half my life has been in Wisconsin. And to me, this is home.
Great.
And I tell people that all the time. They go, well, you were born in Kentucky. Where I was born doesn't mean that's my home. When my father's gone, there's really no reason for me to go back to Kentucky except for bourbon and horse racing.
All righty.
I'm just saying,
But now, your New Jersey ancestors came from someplace.
That's Alex's ancestry. Well, they came from Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Hey,
they were German
right.
Jews.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yep.
There you go.
Herman was their name.
Herman. Okay.
And so they came in, and Ilsa Herman married Steve Sasala, who
Italians.
but not Jewish though.
Yeah.
And so on the East Coast in New York, Ilsa's mom and dad would not go to the wedding
Of course not.
because he was a goyim. You don't marry outside of the faith.
Oh no. Well, it happened in all of religions.
Sure.
The Catholics wouldn't go to a non-Catholic wedding. No way. No way.
So it's interesting, and Steve Sasala was a little bit Polish also, and he could speak some Polish. But when you go out east, you are in a different kind of, and if you got to get into the cities where the ethnicity is. South Philly is a great place to go.
Oh, sure.
My gosh.
Yeah.
It is the Italian section of Philadelphia. And South Street and all that. It's just an absolute wonderful place. Going to New York City, you will see, you can go to the different areas of New York that are still considered the Irish section.
Wow.
You can.
Well, can I talk a little bit about the exhibit? I want to tell you.
Well, I hope so. That's why
No,
you're
I
here.
was going to tell you, spend at least an hour. Because there's that much detail for you to learn about, and there's so many, like I said, there's 14 different subjects that we're talking about. We talk a little bit about the Germans that are here today that are still very German.
Uh-huh.
The Amish and the Mennonites.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Very much traditional Germans, and live by that rural traditions that they brought over with them. So that's an interesting panel in itself. We talk about rural life as well as urban life.
Sure.
Because when those Germans came into Madison, Gisholt Machine Shop was where they all went to work, a tool and die manufacturing company. And what's the other big industry in Madison that the Germans worked for? Oscar Mayer.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oscar Mayer.
Get out of here.
Oh, sure. So again, it was really a great opportunity for the Germans settled in city as well as outside of city.
Yeah.
And again, the farming traditions went on and on and on. They were one of the first to bring corn and cattle in.
Uh-huh.
Because the Yankees all thought, we'll grow wheat until there's nothing left, and they did.
Oh.
They grew wheat until the insects and the disease and the non-fertilization of the land dried up their wheat fields and it went nowhere.
Oh my God.
And then
Wow.
the dairy industry came into play. Now, the funny thing is that some people think of Germany and foods too. And we wanted to talk. I talked about beer, but what goes well with beer is cheese.
Mm-hmm.
That the Germans didn't contribute much there except Limburger.
That's it? I like
Well,
Limburger.
you think about it, it's Swiss cheese is German.
I like Limburger.
And the Yankees brought in cheddar and Colby and all these other cheeses, but yeah, they didn't come on real high with it. But Limburger in Monroe, you could go down and catch some of that, but that's not Swiss. That's German. They brought that along with them. But so again, traditional foods and things, we see them every day, and that we need to relate back to, because the Germans brought them over. Pumpkin pie is a German thing.
Pumpkin pie?
Pumpkin pie is a German. Don't you think those Quakers came over and when they took over the Plymouth Rock?
Yeah.
There was no pumpkin
pie there?
Not at Thanksgiving.
Apple pie, maybe.
So those kinds of things that we can share with you. And again, so rye bread, where did that come from? Germany, man.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I love this stuff.
Well, so again, little things that we can share with you in these panels. And like
Sure.
I said, take the time to spend the time, because it's a great opportunity. And this is not where this group is stopping. They've got plans for every month
Okay.
of the year, bringing in new ethnicity information and bringing people into the Crosse House to make that a swinging door, to bring people in and learn about the culture and the heritage of this community, so there's a different level of appreciation for the new people that are coming here,
Right.
and to kind of show respect to the folks that have been
Sure.
trying to keep it alive.
Yeah, I agree. I had a thought and I lost it. I was listening to you and I lost it. Good morning, Janice Bedner. Glad you could join us.
That's a German name, by the way.
Bedner, I tell you. Hey, if you just joined us, you're listening to Good Morning Sun Prairie right here on 103.5 WLSP. And we're talking with Joe Chase this morning about the event that's going to be occurring at the Crosse House, and it's called Germans Coming to America. And it's going to be right here in your city, and Crosse House is right on Main Street. You can, it's 133 Main Street. It's the most gorgeous house on Main Street. Well, it's one of the most gorgeous
Next to the
houses.
Sun Prairie Utilities.
Right next to the Sun Prairie Utilities. And so it's a great opportunity for you to go in and check some things out. Here's what I want to know. How are you funded? How's the organization funded?
The Sun Prairie Historical Society?
Yes, sir.
It really was fundraising in the early days, where they actually went out and had events that
Okay.
brought people in. And then we used to do brick sales up around the old water tower on Columbus Street.
Sure.
And that was really a nest egg that we set aside to be able to maintain that water tower over the years, to have new tuck pointing done when it needed, to have the tank painted when it was needed, and those kinds of things. So we really had a very, very strong organization when we worked out of the museum.
Okay.
And we haven't been in the museum for the last 5 years now.
Why is that?
Well, again, the city is running the museum with a 9-member board, and that board sets aside city budget money for the maintenance of the building. And 4 years ago, we actually did hire a director level to run the museum, and that was something that the Sun Prairie Historical Society, which were then called the Friends of the Museum, supplied $20,000 to have a survey done, or to have a one of those comprehensive plans done.
Strategic plan?
Yeah,
Okay.
a strategic plan. And that strategic plan now has taken them 4 years to figure out how to implement it. Whereas prior to that period, the emeritus historian in this community, Peter Klein,
Oh, sure.
was the curator for well over 25 years. and worked endless hours to make the museum what it is today.
Wow.
Well, what it was then. Because again, his concept of putting together exhibits, his concept of how to preserve not only history but the historic artifacts. He was actually giving classes at the State Historical Society on how to do paper preservation and artifact preservation. Peter was so involved with the history of our community and how to preserve it. And we've lost that kind of momentum, and we're trying to build that right now with the new vision for our group.
How do we lose the momentum?
Basically, it started out with,
That's sad.
COVID was one of the big issues, of course. And prior to COVID, it was the explosion downtown, 2018.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And that took out a number of windows in the museum, and it really put the museum in limbo for 2 years. And so that didn't happen, and then COVID came, and that again kept the doors closed. But prior to that, we were trying to turn exhibits and market it, and I think that's one of the bigger problems is marketing a museum, which is kind of funny to me because it is the #1 destination as far as tourism downtown anywhere.
It is.
And one of the reasons for that is Georgia O'Keeffe.
Okay.
It's a mecca to
Okay.
come to where Georgia O'Keeffe grew up. It really is.
Really?
I've entertained people from California, Minnesota, overseas. I entertained the chieftain of the O'Keeffe clan of Ireland
Oh,
that came over he was writing a book about the O'Keeffes and the ones that came to America, in particular the George O'Keeffe's family.
okay.
Her grandparents were Pierce and Catherine O'Keeffe. And they came to southern part of the township of Sun Prairie, and that's where 3 generations of them grew up there. And so the story of George O'Keeffe is huge for tourism.
Sure.
Not everybody comes here to learn about Charlie Bird and his brother Augustus that came here to build the Capitol in Madison, but that's a good regional story.
Sure.
And then we also then try to integrate, the museum has tried to integrate a local citizen involvement exhibit where people could become more involved with it or talk about a business. For the last 4 years they had a huge exhibit about the porcelain company, because the porcelain company was the factory in our community, and it had such a unique product.
Right.
So it had international sales. It was one of those companies that really had a lot to do with keeping the city people employed at a fair wage, and again, sending out a product with our name on it. And then the canning factory was the other large industry in the community at that time. So So where do we get our funding? We're hoping that we're going to start more business supported funding. We're get to the point where we have sponsors for events, because again we want to do a quality job.
Yeah.
And
how about individual donations? You'll take those?
Well, certainly, and actually we want to do a membership campaign too.
Okay, sure.
Because members give us volunteers, and volunteers give us people to work with and at their level within our organization. If you want to be a history writer, which we really need, Cottage Grove wrote 40 booklets, 50 pages long, about what happened in Cottage Grove history. What? Cottage Grove? But they had an excellent writer.
Okay.
And we need somebody to do those kinds of things.
Mike Popke.
Well, bring him in.
Mike Popke, he's Sun Prairie guy, right here.
We'll welcome him, because my whole philosophy about bringing members in and volunteers in, we want you to do what you do best.
Okay.
If you want to learn more, we'll add that to your plate.
Huh.
But if you want to come in and talk about your days of working at the Wisconsin Cheese Man, come on in and let's talk about working at the Wisconsin Cheese Man.
I was watching 60 Minutes is one of my favorite shows.
Okay.
I loved 60 Minutes. They had a special, I think it was 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago, and they were talking about this program. Now, it's got to be longer than 3 weeks ago, because I talked to Jeff Robbins about this. I'm going to be doing this in June with my dad, And what's going on is that you can sit down and you can actually talk to somebody from the Holocaust.
Oh wow.
They're
wonderful.
dead. They're gone. But it's AI. And so you can have a conversation. What they did was they sat down with people in their age and had a conversation with them. They interviewed them and interviewed them and interviewed them. And what I'm going to be doing, and I think it'd be great for the media center to do something like this, and I just threw out an idea that nobody's heard about yet. I haven't even talked to Jeff about it. But I'm going to be interviewing my dad.
Wow.
Because I would have loved to have had this interview with my mom.
Wow. Yeah.
And I just talking about where'd you come from? What's your back? How'd that happen? Why'd you pick to be a chemist and a doctor? Why? What's going on? Family of 7. 5 of them slept in the same bedroom.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But it'd just be so cool to have that, and you hear the word legacy box.
Sure.
And the photos, and that also gave me, ideas right away. My mind's going for the media center.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important for us to hang on to that. So I had my, because I owned Baker Realty. Well, by the way, we go back in history because I owned Baker Healthcare, and I was supplying hospitals, clinics, everything all over the state of Wisconsin, and actually outside of the state. And I forgot where I was going with it. That's our connection, you and laboratory stuff.
I worked at St. Mary's Hospital.
I know
for
you
10
did.
years, and I was their buyer.
Right.
So it was, and prior to that, I worked in biotechnology for 30 years as a buyer. So it went from agricultural biotechnology to medical biotechnology. And it was the most amazing field to be working with that level of scientists and researchers, and it was great. And because I was a science major in college to start with, so
Okay.
or I was a lot of different things.
We all were.
Yeah.
I went to school to be a doctor, and I forgot.
I ended up being a bacteriologist, and I said, "What? Where did that come from?"
Oh my gosh! But
and then really finished up with a business management degree, but because I said I don't want to work at a bench forever, I want to be out and making the best deals. I want to be a deal maker. So yeah.
you are a deal maker.
Well-
What was it? Let's talk about you for a few minutes, because you are an amazing man, and I appreciate you so much. The history of Sun Prairie. But I got to tell you, I'm very appreciative of what you did when I was looking at running for city council. I mean, you said, well, let's sit down and talk about that. I'm like, okay, all right.
I've had a few people contact me about what should I do to run for mayor.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm not running for mayor.
Well, no, because they said, because I keep telling them I won't.
You won't run for mayor.
No.
Hey, so should that position be full-time?
Well,
A paid full-time position?
the last ad hoc committee I put together was to analyze that.
Yeah.
And I took the people that really didn't want it to ever be full-time on there.
Sure.
I put Chris Murtis on there.
Oh.
And I put
Don Hoosier?
Don Hoosier. And after something like 10 meetings, they came up with Sun Prairie should have a full-time mayor.
Oh my gosh.
Because again, this right now it's city staff.
Sure.
And city staff uses all their resources
Right.
to come up with solutions,
Right.
but they usually don't leave a lot of options. This is the solution because we are so focused, we can tell you exactly what we want you to do.
Right.
And I'm more the option kind of guy.
Okay.
What's plan B?
Mm-hmm.
Because you always have to have a plan
Yeah.
B. So what's option B? And it's hard when you're looking at 25 years out what you want your city to look like, how many farmlands you want to take over.
Oh, I know.
and those kinds of things. So, and one of the things that I when I was mayor, I thought it was all about luck. We got to be good friends with everybody.
No.
I went to the town of Sun Prairie meetings.
You did?
I went to the town of Bristol meetings. And I talked to these people about how we were going to work into the future.
Right.
I sat down with Mayor Cheslevic in Madison,
Uh-huh.
and the only way I did that was they were doing a a marketing thing where they were selling a breakfast with the mayor. So I bought it. And we went over to the Blue Plate and we sat down and we had a nice talk.
Oh my gosh.
So again, talking with these people, Kathleen Falk, the county executive, I would sit down with her at least monthly and just say, how can the county help Sun Prairie and vice versa?
Mm-hmm.
How can we be good supporters of the county?
Sure.
And it's all about communication and coordination. Those are the two things I suggest to my group right now: communication and coordination. And we'll all be working on the same track, and that's the way to do it.
It's interesting about what's interesting about Sun Prairie to me is, and I was part of the study that they did, not the housing study. They didn't ask me. They should have, because they're going to learn about it on Wednesday.
There you go.
We're opening up and talking about it. I can't see why they spent $80,000 to get 2019 statistics.
Yeah.
We have at our fingertips 2021. I can tell you today what it's all about.
You could have brought realtors together in one room and said,
right,
what should we do for housing?
Realtors built. Well, there were two realtors on there, but they just didn't. There were.
Yeah.
Housing for all was not the real subject.
Yeah, I got it.
But did you ever think that? Here we go. This is April. Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think that the average price of a home in Sun Prairie would be $427,776?
Not when it was 4 years ago. It was 260.
Exactly.
Right.
And that price is up 13% over April before.
But I've seen some houses up in the Regency area that are so 400,000 plus or 500,000. Yeah, those are big houses.
Wow.
And again, those are areas that a lot of Sun Prairies don't even know exist.
Well, that's true.
There are. I'm amazed by the expansion areas and as we get closer to Egri Road and along the entire stretch up there. Yeah, it's a new town.
It is a new town. We've got to figure out a way to make it more affordable to people. There's an answer to it. There's just not one single solution to it. It's a combination of things to make housing more affordable here in Sun Prairie.
And Madison's been struggling with this all along.
Yeah.
I just drove through Cottage Grove last night.
I'm sorry.
All the apartment buildings that are being built across from that, down from Gaston Road.
Oh, sure.
There must be 20 apartment buildings with 40 units in each one of them, or more.
Full. And they're full.
Oh, it is amazing.
And they're full. People talk to me all the time about. So I had some folks pulled me aside the other day and asked me about all these apartments. I said, what you don't realize is they're full, and the ones that are coming up, they will be full also. Gephardt out there, I don't know what he's doing. There's rumors out there on that one, lack of green and going on there, but Colorado Commons. But the other ones are, we're full. We're at 96%. And when housing gets to the point it is right now, there'll be more apartments needed. And when apartments become cheaper than a mortgage, you'll see the market change. But that ain't happening for a long time.
Well, no, because we're getting to the point where the interest is going to start popping up and going higher, and again, we've got such a much more transient group nowadays, where people stay in a job for 5 years and then move somewhere else, and now they're looking for apartments or houses that got an office in them so they can just stay right home.
Yeah, and then businesses are coming back and going, well, now we'd like to have you back in the office. And they're like, I am in my office. I'm in my pajamas.
So again, we got to go with the flow, and things are changing. So
no, we don't have to go with the flow.
Well, we're changing the flow.
We need to put our Sun Prairie spin on it.
All right.
We need to make Sun Prairie a destination city. Part of that destination is our museum. Part of that destination is the Crosse House and things that are going on. It's our history. That's a part of it. And that's how we got to get people here. When you get people here, they go to restaurants. When they go to restaurants, they spend money. And then they go over to Faded Roots and they buy a dress or something. I've never bought a dress to wear, but I've bought dresses there. Yes, yeah. I have.
Well, again, I noticed that they did the branding study. And I certainly gave my more than 2 cents worth as to what but my first question to them was, who are you marketing to?
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, well, new families,
Uh-huh.
new business, and tourism. I said, really? Explain to me.
What tourism?
I was the chair of tourism before I was mayor. And when we bring new people in every year, I would say, let's come up with the 5 reasons someone would come to Sun Prairie and stay overnight.
Okay.
That for tourism,
Okay.
because there wasn't any,
Sure.
really. Sweet Corn Festival, you get it all done in a day.
Yeah.
It's
could
it's
be
a
a one
day
day.
trip. It's
Sure.
a day trip. And tourism, by dividing by the state of Wisconsin, they define it as overnight stay.
Okay.
Because that's where you're getting your tourism dollar from, or your tax dollar that you get from the motels
Right.
that support the tourism commission. So George O'Keeffe was the #1 reason anyone would come to Sun Prairie,
Huh.
and from out of the area. Sure. And when they did the Discover Wisconsin segment on for Sun Prairie,
Sure.
10 minutes of it was about the museum. The rest of it were paid ads to go into different shops and say, "Oh yeah, my shop is here and my shop is here." But the destination was the museum, and it should be. We're to the point where, again, we could have different theme museums in our community. We could have one on agricultural.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Our agricultural beginning. Nobody's got anything like that around here. We could have one dedicated just to George O'Keeffe, and let the history of community be in the museum that is today. The other thing is that, again, I always looked at the museum as historical library and museum. The library part about it was being able to do research, and the museum should be a family-oriented destination. And I always talked about, people always say I talk too much about George O'Keeffe. I said, no, I talk about the O'Keeffe family. She was one of 7 siblings, and every one of them went out and became successful. And they need to be talked about too. And the fact that she was 3rd generation.
Wow.
That her family came here, her grandparents came here from Ireland and settled here.
Uh-huh.
And then had 4 sons. And the 4 sons, 3 of them died of tuberculosis here.
Okay.
And the 4th son, her father, went to Williamsburg, Virginia to get out of the environment here with the brucellosis and the tuberculosis, that he didn't want to die like his brothers had died.
Oh my God.
So that was the #1 reason why the O'Keeffes left here. But again, it goes to show that I don't talk just about George O'Keeffe, because I'm not an artist. I can appreciate what she's done. I have
Sure.
a library of over 200 books about George O'Keeffe.
Okay. Oh.
And I'm willing to share that and I give tours. I give a 45-minute tour and a 4-hour tour about the O'Keeffes and their influence on the community. And that I offer because I think, again, they're just one Irish family. All of these families have a great story if you get people to sit down and talk about it. And that's one of the goals of this historical society, is to get more and more oral histories and to get more family histories about the folks that really came here and settled and really, the people that came here for the first time to Truex Field and stayed up in Vandenberg Heights.
Okay.
Some of those people stayed here and made this their home. But they wouldn't have came here if they weren't
Why
military.
Vandenberg Heights? Why Vandenberg Heights?
Well, again, it was developed as Cape Hart housing, which was military housing that would support Truex Field. There were officers there, and there were enlisted.
Sure. There you go.
And
A lot of people don't know that.
Oh yeah, and so Vandenberg Heights started out that way, and that's why the streets are all named after generals up there. But again, those people have their own story, that they came here and they decided this was the community they wanted to raise their kids in.
Exactly.
So
you got the Germans Coming to American exhibit. It's going to be down at the Crosse House, and from May 10th all the way through May 28th. How do they find more information?
well, if you pick up
There's no website.
pick up the Colonial Club flyer,
Okay.
their courier.
Got that?
It's on page 6 in there.
Okay.
It tells you all the information. There's some posters around town
Okay.
at the Colonial Club and various other places. The Star should be running an article this Tuesday, which is, what is it, May 9th?
9th. Tomorrow's the 10th.
10th. So the May 10th Star
Uh-huh.
will have a feature story about this exhibit. So yeah, we're inviting the community and groups. And as you had mentioned that Monday is by appointment only,
Uh-huh.
we set that up for groups.
Oh, good.
So if there's senior centers want to bring a group over, we dedicate the place to them so they can come in and spend as much time as they want uninterrupted. And any other groups that Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, whatever, we'll set up times just so they can come in.
Okay, perfect. So here you go, folks. Visiting viewing times from Monday, May 16th and the 23rd, like Joe said, is by appointment only. On Tuesday, the 10th, 17th, and 24th, 1 to 5. Wednesday, May 11th, 18th, and 25th, 4 to 7 p.m. Thursday, May 12th, 19th, and 26th, 1 to 5. And then Saturday, the 14th, 21st, and 28th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And this is about, you're learning about the history and journey of the German immigrants coming to Wisconsin. A huge thank you to Dolly Wagner for bringing this to my attention, and even bigger thank you to Joe Chase, Mayor Joe Chase, formerly known as.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you being in, and I want to say thank you for everything that you do in Sun Prairie. It's very much appreciated by me,
Well,
and
you
I know a
know,
lot of people.
It can always be the Bill and Joe show if you need somebody to come in and talk about
You don't get up this early, buddy.
Well, you know, for you, Bill, I did.
Okay, I appreciate that.
This is not pre-taped and aired live.
No, we do not.
This is live.
This is live. It's the only
So
way.
I appreciate you allowing us to give some insight
You're
because
welcome.
this is we really want to support the history of the community, and we've gone to the museum board meetings and said we're here to help.
Yeah.
Use us. Oh, we can't run a museum with volunteers.
Oh, yes, you can.
I said yes, you can. Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to have 12 docents when I was there. We don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
any now. So.
We'll have to get Sandy Kittner to come down and.
Sandy's coming down to
Is he?
Yes.
All right, I love that.
There's a guy that keeps us on top of things. So
I like that.
I appreciate Sandy.
Anything that we forgot to talk about that you want to say before we
Forgot
sign
to
off?
talk about
I know.
We only talked about 20 of the 220 I can talk about. So bring me in again, Bill, and we'll hopefully keep our audience informed.
That sounds good. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Bill.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Joe Chase. We appreciate it. We're going to go back to some music. We're going to reset the show, and I think we'll get Jeff Robbins in here because we want to talk about what happened on Saturday night. Let's do a little BTO right here on 103.5 WLSP The Sun. Good morning, Sun Prairie.
Dolly brought down. It looks like she went to a German garage sale.
Oh, yeah. That's
She brought down Crocs and
Did she?
and all kinds of. She took up 1/3 of the whole darn museum.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you for coming in, everybody.
Hey, you know what? I appreciate it. Hey, Brady.
Hi, Bill.
Hey. Can I borrow you for a few minutes? On air? Sure. We can chat about Saturday. Joe? Peace. Look at that big trophy sitting right there, Joe.
Yeah, I heard that on the way in.
Station of the year, baby.
Amazing.
We won't talk about being COVID. We're just winning.
I don't see anything that's going.
Station of the year, first time ever. Thanks, sir. You're the man. You know, you can count on it.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, there's a song player, and I'll be wrapping up here. Isn't that pretty? Look at this thing, too. Man, we kicked. We missed you, by the way.
I will say.
Oh, she did. That's cool.
So at least I missed it for a good night.
Well, your peeps hit home runs.
I know.
Getting a lot of comments about it.
Yeah, that was like.
You know?
Dan says he wants to record the show tomorrow.
I saw something.
Hello, Mr. Robbins. You're on Facebook Live right now.
Can I sit here?
Yes, sir. Please sit there.
Oh, this is good. You like that I'm sitting here?
Yes, I like when you sit there. Little BTO. Then we'll talk about Saturday.
What happened on Saturday?
Oh, we went to a party
I went
and
to,
trophies fell out.
Is that what happened? Trophies just fell out from the
Shiny
sky?
things were earned. There are no sunspots.
Sure they are.
No, they're all dead. They're gone.
No, there's sunspots.
Well, I read that. That's what he was in here for 2 hours about. That's what I brought.
What's in here?
Nothing.
What's this? Okay, those are all, you're right. Those are all dead.
I like reading those things. Here we go.
Did Chris have any sunspots on Friday? I don't need right this second, but yeah.
Joe Chase. A little Bachman Turner Overdrive right here on 103.5 WLSP, the Sun at the beautiful Sun Prairie Media Studios. Hey, Bill Baker, your host, and good morning, Sun Prairie. Glad to be here with you. And just that conversation with Joe Chase and learning our history in Sun Prairie, I think, is so vital for our organization, and I really appreciate Joe coming in. Again, Dolly Wagner, thank you for setting that up, and the Sun Prairie Historical Group and the genealogy. The genealogy is fun. You got to check it out, and you have to try it. I started doing it, and I had to go down a rabbit hole and just kept doing it. Part of the history, and now I have in studio, and I want this gentleman here because of what he has helped create in the Sun Prairie that you may or may not know about. And Jeff Robbins is in studio. He's the executive director for the Sun Prairie Media Center. And I was proud to be sitting with staff and other producers on Saturday night when an award was announced, the last award for the night, and that was that Sun Prairie's 103.5 was chosen as co-station of the year. Co-station of the year. We're not going to talk about co's, though. We're just going to talk about station of the year, and that's all that matters. And I'm going to say this before he gets on so I can embarrass the hell out of him, is that I will tell you that we're the station of the year because of the leadership that we've had as a media center, the staff that we have through Rachel, Mara, and Colin. If you do that, then you're blurring everything, buddy. He's messing with my studio. Now he's playing with the mic. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, now it's blurred again. It's your studio. You designed the darn thing. The other way. There you go. Okay. Perfect. The reason we got Station of the Year is because of the leadership. And I want to say a huge thank you to you and also to your staff. Now you can talk.
Oh, you're done?
Oh, stop.
Okay. Hey, Bill, thanks for having me in here.
What a fun night.
Am I on the radio?
You're on the radio. You're live.
Wow. Excellent.
I know.
Yeah, thanks for coming out on Saturday. It was a good time.
Yeah, we had a good. I am proud as anything. I'm walking 3 feet off the ground. I'm telling everybody about that. Our little radio
You're a
station.
big part of our success, so you should feel proud.
Hey, I'm trying to lose weight.
I didn't mean like that.
Dude, picking on my weight already?
I mean like substantial.
Okay, all right. I get that. Thank you. Our little radio station, when I tell people about this, they go, oh, okay. I said, no, you don't get it. We have a 4-person staff, and we beat in the large markets like Madison and Milwaukee that have paid producers, they have paid individuals, and we beat them out.
Yeah, it was a big surprise. I think a lot of people came up to me afterwards and said, "Were you expecting this?" I mean, no, that's not the kind of thing that's announced ahead of time, and so I was not expecting it. To be quite honest, and you and I were kind of looking at each other like, "Well, is it time for bed yet?" Because that was a long award show. It went on a long time. But like you said, the last one of the night, Station of the Year, and I think everybody was happy that we stuck around.
Yeah, what were we joking about before they announced it? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Our table of 10 would all get up and walk up and accept the
and
award.
We should have. I wish everybody had.
Dude, you pushed people out of the way to get up there. You and Colin.
I ran up there because the thing was running so long.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
trying to
Wait a minute.
keep the show moving.
That was our 15 minutes of fame, baby, right there. We couldn't get up because we were trying to pick ourselves off the ground from getting run over.
No, you are not a wallflower. If you wanted to get up, you would have gotten up.
That was a Jeff Robbins moment, buddy. And I'm serious. I mean, you can't get Station of the Year unless you have good leadership, and you have the support staff to do that.
And I'll throw that back at you and say that, I certainly am not doing this alone. Like you mentioned, Colin and Rachel and Mara and people like Bill Baker and Mark Ganwa and
Jameson Rabbit,
Andy Shaner. I mean, I don't want to start talking because I'll leave people
out.
Greg Bump.
Sarah.
You'll start leaving people out, and that'll be a problem.
Well, we need to talk about Sarah and Greg because they are big award winners.
Yeah,
they won in their categories.
Well, so in the best radio show category, we had the top two.
That's right.
Greg Bump finished first, and Mark Ganwa finished second.
Right.
And then we had Dan Presser won best newscast.
Yeah.
Sarah Molesky won best significant community impact.
Right.
Program.
Yeah.
And I should also acknowledge Sandy Zhang was a big part of that show, helping her a line of guests and things like that. And, of course, you and Jameson and Mike were one of the finalists for your football coverage.
Right. Got third.
And somebody else got third. Oh, Christine Bright with the parenting game, who was there. Didn't sit at our table, but was there.
Right.
And, it was a fun night. It was, I think, a little, probably as glamorous as we get here at the Media Center. There were some people dressed to the nines there.
Oh, gowns and, man, they were dressed up, I tell you.
Some good-looking people,
male
and female.
Jameson in a gown. I haven't seen him like that in a long time.
He did some serious shaving of his legs.
Not his face.
No, not his face.
Oh, no. Santa never shaves that beard.
But his legs were silky smooth.
People were asking, well, okay, you got a trophy. No. You don't get it. We're going up against big radio stations. I mean, we're considered large market. In fact, I kept elbowing Jeff. I'm sitting next to him at the table.
There were a lot of different categories, a lot of different classifications for stations.
And so
people. Which is one of the reasons the awards took so long.
Well, about TV broadcast and things like that. Uh-oh.
I got your sunspots.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you very well.
Yeah.
But so TV spots going against WMTV and Channel 3.
We weren't in the TV category.
And tell people why we weren't.
Well, so people that are familiar with the Media Center.
They're not.
Well, if they're listening to your show, they must be.
No, they have no clue.
Okay, well, the Media Center, 1350 Linwood Drive here in the public library. We have three entities here. We have the radio station that you're listening to right now. We have two TV stations. And the TV station, particularly KSUN, where our high school football and city meetings and all that kind of good stuff are, that we were not eligible to compete as a broadcaster. Remember, WBA is Wisconsin Broadcasters Association. So we're not eligible to compete as a broadcaster because we are not broadcasting, we're cable casting. So the radio station is the only place where we compete at this particular award show.
And we rocked.
And we had 6 finalists. Half of those won first place. And then, we can't say it enough, Station of the Year.
Right. Station of the Year. I'm proud of that, man.
And that trophy weighs like 100 pounds.
And I'm taking it home. I want to let it sit on my desk for a while.
I don't know about that.
Well, all right.
We'll have to sign that out.
Okay, we can do that. But it's really interesting because we do. I say this and people laugh at me at times, especially here when I say we have the most amazing media center in the entire state of Wisconsin. There's a lot of things going on here every single day, and in fact, I think we have a lot of success with, but we could see even a larger success is our Kids 4 program, and our summer class sessions.
Are you segueing into a pitch?
Wow, maybe.
What time you got over there?
It's we got 10 minutes.
You got 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks, Bill, for mentioning that. Yeah, our summer workshops are coming up, obviously, this summer. We still have some spots available. So if you have kids ages fourth grade through 8th grade, sign them up for some summer workshops. We got spots open in Adventures in Sports Production, which is a favorite of mine. Adventures in Live Television, Adventures in Movie Making, Adventures in Animation, and Adventures in Photography, I believe, all have limited space available. So go to kids4.tv and sign up.
And folks, you got to understand this. I mean,
And you'll be part of this award-winning
station.
center. Yeah.
Well, but the kids have fun. I mean,
Of course they have
they're
fun.
using the tools, the same equipment that you see on Channel 15 or Channel 3 or K-Sun that you're watching on cable. I mean, they
Yeah,
get
it's
to
totally
come.
hands-on.
Oh,
And
my
it's-
gosh.
It's their creativity unfiltered. I mean, they are responsible for coming up with the ideas, responsible for doing lighting and sound and acting and camera work and everything. And yeah, I don't want to make it sound like work because it's not supposed to be work. It's supposed to be fun.
Sure.
And yeah, it's a great time.
So you've been here how many years?
8 years.
8 years now. Wow. I've been here 7. I checked that today.
You did check it today?
Yeah, I've got recordings back that far.
Okay, so
Oh.
you started in 2015? 2015 is when the radio station went on the air.
Later that year.
Right. Well, wouldn't have been before the radio station started.
No.
You came to us through John Quinlan.
Yes, John Quinn. That's true. So, are you amazed at the growth and that's occurred through the media center and how many producers? Because I think it's over 90, isn't it? Volunteers.
We have 182 members. Now, not all of those members are producers. Some
Correct.
of them are Kids for Families. Some of them are people that just support us through financial contributions. But a big chunk of that are producers. You'll leave here today, and Margana will come in, and then John Deals will come in,
Yeah.
and Steve Sabaki will come in, and it's a rotation, and it's great. Having said that, we always have room for more people, so come on down, give me a call, send me an email, jrobbins@cityofsunprairie.com. That's 2 B's. We're always looking for new producers to add to our stable of talent.
I love to tell the show the first time or talk about this. When I first came in with this idea from John Quinlan pushing me over here. First of all, I didn't even know about the media center.
Right.
I had no clue. And how long have I've been here? 30 years. And
Okay.
and because I was a satellite guy, I didn't watch that, and I didn't even think about watching football games on TV when Alex was playing and all that stuff. But well, I guess anyway. So sitting in your office, I almost threw up when you said, "Let's do this." I'm like, "What? I don't know how to do any of this." And now it's become just a favorite of mine, a passion for me, and just making people smile, making them laugh, play some music that they might like. And
Well, I always joke, there was something, I don't know if it was when you were running for office or what, but I saw some biography of you or something, and it said, Bill is a well-known Bill is a well-known radio personality, and also a realtor. And they put the radio personality thing before your actual money-making gig. I
Right.
thought that was humorous.
yeah, a lot of people have no idea I sell houses.
Well, they should know.
Well, I know. Thank you very much.
You do a fine job.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Here's the other thing I want to talk about the media center is that what you need to know about is that how this operates here is through cable fees. That's one thing. But we also work on donations.
Sure.
And we'd sure like you to consider, if you like my show, if you like any of the shows out there, think of making a donation, maybe a monthly running donation to the Media Center, because those dollars help us buy new equipment like the camera he's going to break here in the studio. But, the one you're playing with.
Yeah, I'm not playing with it.
You're playing with it, dude.
Go to sunprairiemediacenter.com and look for the donate
Button.
Yeah, there's a donate page. Yeah.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
nice. That'd be
Yeah.
good. And if you're a business that's
Or
listening,
become a member.
yeah,
You don't have to do a show if you don't want to do a show. You can just be a member of the group.
right. Or you could underwrite my show. You can underwrite any
Yeah.
show.
If you're listening, you have a business, we'd love to have your underwriting support.
There you go.
We'd love to be able to say the Good Morning Sun Prairie brought to you by
The Baker Related
X. Well, you can control that. That's up to you.
Group. Oh my gosh, I tell you.
Yeah.
I'm having fun here.
Well, I'm glad you're still having fun. You've been with us a long time. I mean, some people sort of what you do is work. I mean, I don't. Do you still plan a playlist, a music list?
Every day.
Every Sunday before you come in, and you line up guests. Obviously, you had Joe Chase in this morning,
Yep.
so you don't just show up at 7 o'clock and
No.
well, what am I going to talk about today? I mean,
No.
you plan this out, so
I mean,
it's work.
You and I talk about this. How many years ago? I was doing it every single morning.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have such the respect for the radio people in the mornings that are getting paid to do it, because I know they have support staff
Well, they have support
helping.
staff usually. Yeah.
But to do that, I mean, it would take probably 2 hours to prepare for the show with all the details and everything, especially if you don't have a guest that's on. But lining up the guest is a challenge in itself.
Well, then once you have the guest, you have to figure out what you're going to talk to them
Right.
about, what questions you're going to ask them. So yeah.
Right. And my goal, by the way, for my guest is that when they walk out here, they go, wow, those 2 hours went by really fast.
Well, you don't always have a guest in for the full 2 hours, do you?
Most of the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless it's politics and I want to get them out of here.
Right.
No.
Well, I mean, you're kidding, but I mean, you got to think about equal time. I think
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what you're coming. Yeah,
Yeah.
what you're coming with that. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of that, Wednesday, we're going to go over the housing study. Alder.
You and I?
No, not you.
Oh,
You can if you
You're not
want.
going to invite me in again on Wednesday?
Dude, you can come in anytime. This is your place.
Okay.
You're the big boss.
Sure, big boss, big chief,
Big
head,
chief.
head honcho.
Cheesemo.
Wow.
The main guy.
How was the food on Saturday?
I thought it was okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't complain about it. But on Wednesday, we're going to bring in District 2 Alder, Brent Iceburner.
Oh,
and
really?
we're going to break down the housing study. And
Is he gonna
and
be
talk
here in
about
person or on the
in
phone?
person.
Okay.
In fact, he's got to take a court call before that, and he's going to sit in the parking lot to do that.
Okay. Well, that'll be good.
I know. But it's going to be a good show. Got a lot of information to talk about and to go over a little bit, and so it should be pretty good, I think.
I'm going to be gone next week, so you'll have to do the show next Monday without me.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a
What are
bummer.
you pointing at?
We got time, 3 minutes.
Oh, you got 3 minutes?
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell me how you put together your playlists.
How did I put my playlist
Tell me how you
together?
put together your playlists.
They're Bill's favorites a lot of times. I mean, there'll be times during the week that I hear a song on the radio somewhere
Right.
and I write it down. And I go and add it to a playlist.
Do you incorporate new music, or you stick
Sometimes.
with the 80s or the 70s and 80s?
I like the 70s and 80s. I like the classic rock.
Yeah.
But Terry's influenced me a great deal. Lisa Wolf influenced me on music.
Lisa Wolf now with Watertown
Yeah.
Public Access. Yeah. Doing a fine job for them.
She is. And so I get that type of influence. But so if I hear a song, I put it on there. I mean, even local artists. I mean, from Kelsey Miles to the Getaway Drivers, a lot of different people. I will put any kind of local music on there. Not Mark Ganwa, but
Not Mark Gunwell.
well, he hasn't recorded anything
Right.
yet. As soon as he does, I'll put it on.
Do you ever have a guest cancel on you?
Yes, I
At
have.
like the last minute?
Yes, I have.
And what do you do then? Just
Punt.
punt?
That was the issue being at WIBA, doing a real estate show. I had more guests cancel there than they do here in Sun Prairie.
Why was that?
I just think it's that it was a Saturday 10 o'clock spot, and they just couldn't handle it.
All of a sudden they get Badger tickets and they say,
Well, I had Badger tickets. I had to get out of there and go.
wow, okay.
But I forgot what I was saying. Doesn't matter.
Well,
No matter
thank you
good
again.
time.
I mean, I know you're trying to wrap up, but thank you for everything you do, for this show, for the real estate show, for being on the Friends group, and just your support. I know you and Mark Onwell are probably the two biggest cheerleaders for the Media Center, and I certainly appreciate letting people know what we're all about.
Well, you're sure welcome. Thanks for stopping in and talking about being the
Station of the Year.
Is it Station of the Year award?
Did I go in the red when I said that?
I think you did.
Yeah, so thanks to the WBA.
Uh-huh.
Thanks to Michelle Betterkind and Kyle Geisler and all the fine folks at the WBA. We really appreciate their support and their recognition. And yeah, be part of a winning team. Come on and see us here at the Media Center, and let's work something out. Let's get you on the air. And we'll win again next year.
Now let's go from one boss to the other. How about Mr. Bruce Springsteen?
What a segue.
And the river. Hey, thanks everybody. Thanks for coming in. Jeff, thanks for joining me. Station of the Year.
You don't have time for this song. This is a
I know.
5-minute song.
I know, but I gotta lead it.
You're gonna run over.
I gotta lead it out, and I need
You're gonna
music
run
in the
over.
back. I thought one boss. I couldn't
You
find
can't
audio.
talk over the song. I stopped talking when the.
Well, time's up anyway.
What are you gonna do? You gonna go to the next show?
Next show. Bye bye. Here we go.
What's the next show?
I have no idea. We're already gone.
All right.
I respect my time.
I respect that you respect that. And
Oh, my God.
you're a little late, but there's some sunspots. If you want to put those up on the board,
Yeah, well.
I appreciate it.
Job interviews. Angel Park. Oh wow.
Gadsby
Views expressed
Gala.
on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not
Gatsby
necessarily
Gala. You going to that?
reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media
No, I'll
Service
be,
Center,
when is it?
radio service providers,
It's
or
the,
staff
I think
members
it's
the
of
20th.
of the
Yeah, I'll
City
be
of
in-
Sun Prairie.
Oh, you will?
I'll be on a cruise ship.
Oh, that's right.
We're leaving on Friday.
Have you ever been on a cruise?
Oh yeah.
I love cruises. All right, Facebook land. See ya.
Not since COVID. Oh, that was all still live on Facebook?
Bye bye, guys.